Gosh, you identified and recognized all these people that have had an impact in this university, but I think there's one that didn't get appropriate acknowledgement. President DiBiasio, how about a hand for our president? And I have to do a shout out also to all the moms. Thank you again, and to my 86-year-old mother, God bless you, I love you. So thank you, President DiBiasio, trustees, administration, faculty, parents, most of all, students, soon-to-be graduates. It's an honor to be with all of you today. I promise to do my part to keep my words brief and my message sincere. Before I share a few thoughts with you, I'd like to turn the clock back about 30 years. It's to my first significant public speaking opportunity. I'd been asked to deliver an important talk at an industry conference, been awarded the highly sought after, 8 a.m. session. As I got underway, I had that typical first-time speaker's disease. I'm sure you all know the one, the dry mouth, the voice that is quivering that you're sure everyone else can hear. Certain that the sweat stains under my arms were showing through my navy suit. But as I spoke, I noticed that there was one particularly engaged attendee in the front row, and he was furiously scribbling notes, looking up at me, looking back down at his papers. Phew, at least someone was interested in my comments, and he gave me the confidence to continue on. Mercifully, I eventually wrapped up my comments. And as I finished, I made a beeline right down to the front row to that engaged attendee and said, gosh, I was pretty nervous delivering my first major talk, but I want to thank you for your attentiveness. It settled my nerves, helped me make it through. He just looked up at me, put his pen down, and said, I have no idea what you just talked about. I'm the next speaker. I misplaced my notes, and I'm on at 9 o'clock. And thus I learned early on the two most important lessons in public speaking, brevity and humility. On the ONU website, it says that in 1899, Ohio Northern University, which was then known as Ohio Normal University, affiliated with the United Methodist Church and embraced church-related values. In the 118 years since, the university has built a campus environment centered on students, centered on service to others and values. And in our few minutes together this afternoon, I'd like to share a story of my journey to the understanding of the importance of service to others, my path to a deeper understanding of the concept of servant leadership. Now, for many of you, today marks not an ending, of course, but this is a beginning. In many cases, the beginning of a new career. In just a few short years, many of you are going to find yourself in positions of authority. Your view of what to do with that authority will determine in many ways whether, in my estimation, you ever truly graduate, whether you ever truly graduate to the position of leader. You see, many of you will become managers, administrators, coaches, senior managers, managing directors, vice presidents, senior executive presidents, and certainly in this room, some will be CEOs. But the title of your position won't be leader. That title can only be earned and can only be awarded by the very people that you serve. Boards of trustees, boards of directors, school boards, even other managers, they will be able to convey to you a title, but they will not be able to convey to you the most important title, that of leader. I was raised right here in Ada, Ohio, as Dan shared. My father was a professor, faculty chair here at the university. My mother was actively involved in everything from the ONU Faculty Wives Group to the Garden Club of Ada to the local United Methodist Church caring for shut-ins. When I graduated from Ada High School, I was full of pride, ready to power my way to the top. Now, top of what, I wasn't quite sure, but to the top nevertheless. I loaded up my 1968 Ford Fairlane, not the sporty two-door model, mind you, but the old school four-door model, and I headed down to Mississippi. To my knowledge, one of the first graduates of Ada High School to be awarded a full athletic scholarship at an NCAA school. full of pride. Frankly, I'm a little bit surprised looking back that my head could fit in that car along with my clothes and all my personal effects for that drive down south. And my pride and arrogance had not diminished very much when I eventually found my way back in Ohio at Ohio University, where I was directing my energy toward completing my finance degree. In 3 years, of course, summa cum laude, with just one final step left toward that perfect 4.0 grade point average. It all came down to one last final exam, a business strategy class, a night class, a class where my quarterly grade was almost 100% going into the final exam. I was so close to perfection. I could almost taste it. In my 21-year-old mind, this felt like I was truly on my way to this top. The night class met once or twice a week for a few hours in the business college. Yes, it was the same building where the dean had signed off on my request to take 36 credit hours each quarter of that academic year. Why? Because isn't that what someone striving for the top does? Oh yes, pride and arrogance was sky high, and little did I know just how ready I was for a true life lesson. I prepped for that final exam in the business strategy class like I'd never studied before, memorizing business, financial formulas, poring over the Harvard business case studies that we had studied that quarter. This was going to be easy, and I was going to show everyone just how special I thought I was. The night arrived, and the professor handed out the exam. To my surprise, it fit on a single sheet of paper. He told us to wait to turn it over till everyone had their exam, and finally, when he said, "Flip over the paper," to my surprise, the other side was blank also. I looked up at him with surprise, and he spoke. "Over the past 10 weeks, I've taught you everything I possibly could about business. But the single most important lesson: what is the name of the lady who cleans this building?" I sat in stunned silence. Sure, I'd seen her a bunch of times. We'd take a break during night class, grab a soda, maybe a bag of chips, candy bar from the vending machine. I'd had other night classes where I'd seen her throughout the prior 2 quarters, always smiling, yet always diligently working to ensure a clean building for us to learn in. I failed that exam. The first and only exam in my college career I failed, and I received the B in that class that I deserved. There would be no 4.0 GPA. You see, I didn't know Dottie's name that night. And the truth is, I hadn't bothered to even try and know Dottie's name. Not that night, really, and not any of the nights before. My world revolved around me, my needs, my goals, my future, me, myself, and I. I was numb as I handed in that exam paper. And although I made an effort that night to try to find Dottie, this was one night she was nowhere to be found. But Dottie left an indelible impact on me. For Dottie taught me that business, and for that matter, life, is not about me. It's not about title, it's not about achievement, it's not about accomplishment, it's not about being served. It's about taking the time to get to know and to thank every person you meet in life. Not just the people who can do something for you, but the everyday Dotties in your life and in my life. It's about serving others, putting their needs ahead of yours. If you want to lead, the true path is to serve, servant leadership. So yes, many of you will someday be in positions of authority. I implore you that when that day comes, that you remember that to be a true leader, you will use that position to serve others and not to be served. Others will surely convey a title to you: manager, administrator, coach, managing director, vice president, senior executive president, and yes, even CEO. But no board can convey the title of leader. Only the people that you serve, the people that you represent, they just might choose to see you as their leader. For the title of leader is not conveyed by contract or by edict from above. Rather, it is conveyed by a vote from the heart, from others. And if you embrace the concept of servant leadership, not just in your words, but also in your actions, I am confident that your name, every one of you, will be etched in their hearts, and they will make that decision to choose to follow your lead. You see, it wasn't easy for me to learn this lesson, but I was blessed to learn it from a true builder of leaders. I learned it from Dottie. Thank you.